I guess we'll just get started in a second here. It's been a while, huh? I haven't done a live in a while. Got my coffee. Feel pretty good. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get started and talk about the content today. Um, basically, there are a few things. Waking up from the dream, which is this incarnation realm, Earth. This duality realm, Earth. Well, not just Earth, but I say Earth. This in our entire universe here that Earth is in. That's the duality realm. Um, but talk about basically what you do when you pass on, you die. In this realm, what you should do, how you can prepare yourself for it. A little bit about my recent experience with the death of the ego that I was going through. I'm still going through it. And a vision I had of the new world order and a possible upcoming war, and also the corrupted bloodlines that are behind it all, and how we can actually heal them to help prevent the war or at least stop it before it gets any worse. Um, so let's me go ahead and let's start with the war and the bloodlines, and then talk about the what you can do when you pass on from this realm, and what you can do to prepare for it, and then a little bit about the death of the ego experience I had. All right, so I had a vision um, on August the 2nd, 2023 at 2:04 a.m. I date and timestamp everything I do. It's just something I really believe is important. Um, and there's different sections here. So the first part of the vision was, this vaccine passport universal ID barcode vision at the airport. When you present the ID, they randomly pick people out and tell them it didn't work. Like they tried to scan your ID, right, the barcode, whatever it is, and it didn't work, and that you need to step aside. Then they come and tell you that you need to pray to God in Jesus Christ that they find you in the system and that it works out for them. Like they say, okay, we're good. Oh, it didn't work. Sorry, can you step aside? We're gonna try to scan it. We're gonna try to scan it again. But you better pray to God this works, man. And if it doesn't, go over here and pray to Jesus Christ. That it works. I hope it works for you. And you think, why are they saying pray to God, pray to Jesus Christ, and hope that it works out for them? Well, they do it for two reasons. So, and this is all happening in the vision. These reasons were all in the vision being downloaded to me, and the answers were two reasons. So they can officially mark down who obeys orders and acquiesces and who doesn't, right? Who follows orders and goes with the flow and does what they say, who's going to obey them and who isn't going to obey, right? They're going to mark down officially on, according to your ID, this person in the system does not obey orders, or does obey orders. And number two, to learn each person's religious affiliation. They want to know if you're religious or not. And if you are religious, what are you? Are you Catholic? Are you, you Muslim, Christian? Like, what are you? Are you Buddhist? They want to know. A person may say, "Oh, sorry, I'm Buddhist. I don't pray to Jesus. Can I pray in my own way?" Right? Well, anything you say, they're gonna love. They're gonna want to listen to that. Right? They're gonna want to know. Like the more you say, the more you're just giving them information that they can jot down and note down and go, oh, okay, so he's a Buddhist. Okay. And he also says, can I pray my own way? So he obeys orders, right? So he obeys orders, check. He's a Buddhist, check, right? That's what they want. Or you could say something like, oh, I don't believe in God. Why do I have to pray? Well, great. Now they know, okay, doesn't believe in God. Check. He doesn't obey orders. Check, right? They're just like, okay, I'm not sure, if you check, you know. And they can say like, "Why is that, sir? You don't believe in God?" "Well, I do. I'm Christian, but you can't force me to pray whatever you want." And you're like, and so now that they know you're Christian, check, right? Um, so they mark it down as a Christian that doesn't acquiesce. So they got everything they needed. They can mark down any combination of the two above, right? So whatever you say, they're just going to use it against you. So those are the two reasons. Obey orders. Do you acquiesce, and are you religious? Do you believe in God? Yes or no? And the next part of the vision I had was a great wall and war. I saw a great war at a wall, this huge wall. I and many others were hugging close to the wall as huge cannonball-like objects rained down on us. People stayed close to the wall to avoid the direct targeting, and in hopes the wall would serve as a shield, right? If those big, huge objects were to land directly on us from above. And then the other kind of, I was going through, flipping through these kind of scenes, right? The next scene was that families raised children as spies. At least some families did. This was kind of common. I saw families that raised their children with real family values, right? Real family values and virtues, good people. Um, um, and But they raised them with real family values and virtues, but they disguised as the enemy, right? It's like a spy, raised the kid as a good person, but kind of disguised as the enemy, so that they could fit into society and still have a way back to truth and to be able to infiltrate the enemy's base from the inside as an enemy soldier if need be. So that was sort of the scene of the families raising children as spies. And I also saw a sad one, I can't say this word on YouTube, right? But, taking one's life, I saw people, committing, what, because of the war and tyranny and New World Order. Um, I was in this vision, I was some child, and, I was some Caucasian child. I found, and I found my mother, like, um, luckily I was uh, uh, able to save her and right this. I don't want to say, this low vibration. These people want to understand where everyone falls under those two items, right? Do they acquiesce? Do they acquiesce, and are they religious? Do they believe in God? But you also have to remember that they're just other souls, right? And in base reality, I say base reality means ultimate reality. I mean, this is ultimate reality in a sense, but I'm talking about spirit form. Everything is reality, but I call base reality, ultimate reality, basically means, you know, the higher self, where the higher self is. You know, that's sort of because you're just an extension of the higher self experiencing something. But I have the higher self, which is in just kind of behind this ego, right? Um, that higher self, that higher vibration, doesn't see these, satanic, godless people as, in a sense, satanic or godless or anything like that. They're just observing, and they say, yeah, they're just having an experience. And to the ego self there, to the ego part of me, my ego part of me thinks it's satanic. It thinks, the ego, of course, wants to identify with something, and it's like, and it creates a duality, with good and bad, and morality, things like that. Whereas the higher self saying, there's no such thing as morality. There's just things. There's just experiences, and there's low vibrations and high vibrations. It's not good or bad. There's just sort of, they're just different things. Um, Whereas the ego wants to have polarity of, duality of this versus that. And the higher self saying, I love everything. I love even those people you call satanic. They're just other beings having different experiences. But you also have to remember the higher self says, however, you know, I, it's helpful. I'll say it's helpful to have a higher vibration of love, right? That high vibration is love. To have that because you're expanding and you're have more energy and you're more full of life and you can have greater experiences and you're growing, right? As you grow with love and growth are in a sense synonymous because you're expanding. Growth expands and love expands to include things. It's inclusive to have all energies. It includes itself as it expands all other things around it to have more energy. So love and growth does. So this high vibrational self says, you just have love. It's a good thing. You want to grow. You want to include. We're all the same. You're all one. So why would I want to stop myself from being myself, which is this all big one thing. You know, it's like we're all these souls are drops of water in an ocean, and the drops of water are saying, "No, I'm a drop of water, and you're a drop of water, but we're different drops of water." And it's like, no, we're just one big ocean. And the higher self is the part is a larger pool of water, not a drop, a larger pool of water in the ocean that says, you know, why don't we just realize we're all the ocean? Let's just love each other. And when you expand to the maximum degree, you are the ocean, and you realize we're all just the same thing. And we say, you don't have, you can if you want, you can experience anything you want, but you don't have to be in a low vibration. You don't have to say, I'm just a drop of water, I'm not you, I'm me, and we're different. Yeah, you can do that, but you don't have to. This out of love, out of this wholeness, it says, you know, um, one thing you could do if you want, not forcing, is that you can also try if it's available to you, a feeling of love. It's a great thing to do to have more energy, you know, because when you don't have a lot of energy, when you're isolated and you're this ego, once you have less energy, the more you isolate and you identify with one particular thing, the more you're collapsing in on yourself and you're not expanding, you're not including things, you're being exclusive, and you have less energy. And if you can get to a point where you have such little energy that after you pass from here, you can get stuck in the lower astrals, right? The lower planes, and still be have because you have so much negative emotion, attachments, and this identity, and you just and you can't you don't realize that you're this larger self, and that can trap you, you know. And you can also get to the point to where you get so low in energy that you can't even reincarnate anymore. You can't even incarnate because incarnation takes energy. So you'll just be kind of stuck, right? Just this little soul that's just stuck in this negative feeling and can't do anything, can't even incarnate. It's not very fun, right? Yeah, you can do it, free will, but it's not very fun. You know, you have no energy and you feel like you just can't do anything. You're just permanently stuck forever, just in despair. That's not fun, right? So the higher self saying, well, you can do that, but I would love for you to not feel that way. So if you want, you can at any point you want, you can realize that you don't have to do that, and you can be loved and I, as we all know, when you're in a negative state, you're like, I don't care about the love, so I don't care about that, whatever. But then as soon as you get out of that state, you go, man, it was just so hard to reconcile and to understand the power of love when you're in the negative state. But once you're in the love state, you go, oh yeah, I get it, yeah. But you also have compassion. Go, yeah, I understand that when you're in that state, you don't want to hear anything that's happy, or you don't want to feel the love. You get it too. So of course you go, I have to, I respect that. I'll let you go through your depression. I'll let you go through, it's your journey. I'll let you feel that way. I'll let you feel negative. I'll let you do that out of love. Because at any point, we're eternal beings. At any point, you can get out of it, and you can have, the experience of love again. It's up to you. It's whatever you want. You're a very powerful being. You can do whatever you want. So don't feel like never feel like you're forced to do anything. But just know that there are other options available, and when you're in that loving state, you always go, oh yeah, yeah. I remember when I was depressed. I remember when I was negative. Yeah, it was hard, and you have compassion for yourself too. And you go, okay, well, I'm going to try and stay in this positive state as best I can, and take that with you. Take those memories of that negative state with you, and be like, you know what? I remember I was in that state. I don't want to be in that state again. I would rather be in this loving state. And then we can move on with that. It's really important to be in that loving state. It's really important to, you know, I'm moving on now, shifting. It's really important to be in that loving state when you pass on. Um, because when you pass on, it's like waking up from a dream, right? This is an illusion, illusion that our higher selves created so that we could understand and experience different things, right? In reality, in existence, and experience duality. And when we wake up from this sense, when we pass on, we wake up from this dream, you know, basically we're in a sense graduating, which I think is kind of cool. People call it death. I call it graduation, you know, because it's like this is a time of growth. And when you pass on, you go, wow, I just graduated. I just learned a lot. You know, wow, that was what a fun little game experience I had. Whew, wild, you know. And so you know, it's like waking up from a dream. You know, you'll understand who you really are, and that it's just a dream. And this means you will love the people in the dream like they were dream characters, right? From that state, after you pass on, when you're in that base reality, you'll be like, wow, yeah, you'll go, oh yeah, that dream I had, and those dream characters in it, right? Because it was all like an illusion, you know. So you'll be thinking, in hindsight, when you're in base reality, your higher self will be looking at this experience as if it was like a dream, and there were dream characters, and we played this little game, and you know, wow. So like, think about this. So if you want to understand what it's like as your higher self when you pass on, think about it like right now. Think about a dream you had recently, and the dream characters in it. You go, and that's how your higher self is going to be thinking about this. They're thinking, wow, yeah, that dream I had and those dream characters. When you wake up, when you're in the dream, it feels very real, right? When you're dreaming and you're talking to your family or friends in a dream, it feels very real, you know. But then you wake up and you go, oh yeah, and you take it very lightly, right? You're like, oh yeah, that dream, and there's characters in the dream. You don't take it very seriously because you're thinking there's nothing to fear, right? Because you realize it was just a dream. There was nothing to fear in the dream. You were very scared I was going to get hurt in the dream. You're like, oh my god, it was so dangerous, or whatever happened. You know, yeah. Until you wake up and go, oh yeah, it was just a dream. You know, there was nothing to fear, and oh yeah, it was just an experience I had, and there was nothing to fear. But when you're in it, like you feel that kind of, you know, the fear and the love and different things happening. But when you're outside of the dream, you go, oh yeah, it was just an experience, and what a wild ride, you know. And you can kind of learn, and you think about your dream, you go, wow, I learned a lot from that dream I had, just like how you do in real life. Like, oh, I had a nice, interesting dream, and I learned a lot from it. That's how your higher self is going to be doing, learning from this experience, like a dream. Um, you know, you'd be thinking of like there's dream characters. You'd be thinking about it like a movie character, a game character, which means, you know, you won't fear anything or care about the things you used to, because it really wasn't you, right? It was your character, a particular ego. Um, and if you like I said before, if you fully wake up without any negative emotions or attachments, you can easily shed the ego self and enter a high vibrational realm naturally. With high vibrational realms, that's what I call kind of the space higher self reality. You know, because in that higher realms where your higher self is, that's when you really realize, oh, there's no such, you know, dualities and experience you can have, but you're in that higher you knows that everything's just one. There's no duality, right? So that's why I don't really like calling the lower astral as base reality, because in the lower astrals, you know, you can easily fall prey to, oh, this is negative and that's positive, and you know, and you're still sort of in duality a little bit, right? Whereas in the higher called astrals, the higher vibrational realms, you start to realize, oh yeah, we're all just one. You know, it's not positive or negative. It's just one. You know, but also realize that in that higher realm, all you really got is positive, right? Because positive things, love, it just kind of expands. So it's hard. So it's hard to say that, you know. So it's like the natural being of oneness is positive. That's interesting, right? So so it's very hard. So it's interesting. So your high self says, yeah, I'm beyond positive and negative, but it's saying it with a slant of positive. So it's an interesting thing, because the base highest degree doesn't understand, you know, doesn't think it's biased towards positive, because positive sort of is the default of everything. It's just, you know, there's nothing wrong with it in a sense. So I hate even using the word positive. It just is. We're just being. being isn't positive or negative. It's just really just being. However, you could say technically it's default, but it's positive by default because love expands and positive things go like that. They don't go like this. Positive plus means expand. So it's interesting. And that's probably why we created these realms in the first place, the lower astrals and these other things that were in a sense negative or the opposite, because we started wanting to know what is it like to not be this. And I'm because like you don't even know, like the default positive doesn't know it's positive. It just knows it's the default state of whatever it is. And he goes, well, what? I tried to not be this. And as it's doing that, it's realizing, oh, maybe I'm positive because this is negative. This is the opposite of what I am. Right? Trying to understand itself. It's like it's trying to go, okay, there's this. It's trying to learn that it's reality's learning that it is love, and it's learning its love by creating fear. And it's like, oh, okay, so I'm love. So it creates fear and goes, oh, I guess I'm love because I just created fear, and that's the opposite of me. Oh, interesting, right? You see, so it's like love doesn't even know it's love until it creates fear. Right. So anyways, going back to what I said, right. When you pass on, be in a high vibrational state. You really want to do this, right? That's the goal, so that you can easily shed the ego and move on. If you have too many attachments or carry excessive emotional baggage, you'll be weighed down by that baggage and get stuck in the lower astrals, right? And still in that kind of duality area. You may not even be aware that you passed on, that you died. The truth of reality may conflict with your ego's understanding and belief of life after death, right? God and materialistic things and thinking, reductionistic and scientific thinking that the ego has, right? The ego loves science so much, doesn't it? And also, by the way, there's no science in base reality, no such thing, because why? You think no science in base reality, no science in the high vibrational states? Impossible. The ego may say that, right? Well, I think, science is trying to understand things, right? Science is, okay, I'm trying to do this to understand something. When you're in base reality, when you're all one, there's nothing to understand. It's called a knowing. You don't have to find anything. It's already known. The answers are already there. You don't have to use science to find something. There's nothing to find. It's all known. You have no questions when you're in a high vibrational state. When you're in high states, there are no questions. You just know everything because you're all just one. It's like you need science to tell yourself that you exist, right? Because you're just yourself. You're one. That's kind of like what it's like. You don't need anything. I know. I don't need science to tell me that I exist. I know I exist, right? That's what your higher self is saying. It's like, I don't need science. I just know I exist. So there's no science, But there is something called a spirit science, which is not really science. Spirit science is basically using energy in very specific technical ways to create stuff, right? To create realms and whatnot. But that's called spirit science, and it's not really it's not using it to understand something, it's using it to create. Think of it as spirit science is something that uses high vibrational energy to create really cool stuff. Basically technical spirit, technical ability, spirit skills, is kind of the spirit science. Right? Remember that everything is energy, going back. And this includes your thoughts. All right. So whatever you think and believe will manifest. You will block yourself from the knowing. Right. So at some point, if you get stuck in these lower astrals, you'll wake up. But you can wake up whenever you're ready. And when you do, your higher self and you guys, they'll be there to help you ascend, but they're not going to get in your way, right? Because this is your journey, not anybody else's. And this means you have to do it yourself. You're a very powerful being, and you have free will to experience anything you like, right? And this can include blocking yourself from the truth. So that's that. Let's see here. Going back to a little bit out of order here, but going back to the NWO stuff I was talking about, that that vision of the great battle, basically, by these corrupt bloodlines, and there's only a select few, I call them a cabal, very select few people of these corrupt bloodlines. They're really some of the original souls that incarnated here on Earth. So some of those got corrupt, and those corrupt bloodlines kept incarnating into the same bloodline to keep their power, right? To keep their wealth and power. Well, wealth was important because that's energy, right? In the spirit world, you have energy. Everything is energy. I'm saying in the spirit world, it's not money, it's not food, it's raw energy. Whereas in this realm, we are in this physical realm. The physicality part of this realm. And I have to say that because really we're just energy, and in general. But in the physicality part of a realm, food converts into energy. Everything is for energy. Food converts your body converts food into energy, right? And money converts. Money is used for food for energy, right? Money does this. Money is used to use for you get money from work, and you can use money for others to do work and for energy. It's all about energy, right? So they want to stay in the same bloodline and keep their wealth because wealth is energy, right? They want to keep the energy because that's all there really is to do in this reality is talk about exchanging energy and using energy in different ways in this realm and in reality in general. It's all just about energy and vibration. So, so I thought, how can we help the corrupt bloodlines if this great war is going to happen, and the corrupt bloodlines are, part of this problem here in this, I call it problem here in this ego world because in base reality it's not really a problem. I'm saying from a human ego perspective, it is a problem, right? Because we don't want to see suffering, right? We don't want things to collapse. We want things to expand and to be inclusive and love each other. So I think one way for the ascension to be smoother is for the awakened people need to offer to pay off the karmic energy debt to the corrupt bloodlines that have made deals with the reptilians or reptilians or nefarious aliens who keep us keep us prisoner in this on this planet in a reincarnation loop, right? So they can suck our soul's energy and keep us locked away. And the corrupted bloodlines, made deals with the aliens to keep this all a secret in exchange for money and power, definitely. So so they can simply reincarnate into the same bloodline over again, right? Why a particular bloodline? Right, like I said before, because they were the bloodlines that were originally corrupted in this realm, and they wanted to retain their energy. Right, the ego realm corrupted them, and they got lost in the ego and closed all the portals connecting this realm to the higher dimensional planes when the realm was first created. Side note: I helped create this realm, not ego Jacob, my higher self, and my higher self helped create this realm, Earth, and I have a story about that, a vision about that I can share with some other time. But I helped create this realm, and I can tell you a little bit about the experience of creating this realm. And so going back, the ego realm corrupted them I helped create this realm. The original souls that came here got some of them got corrupted, and they got lost in the ego, and closed all the portals connecting this realm to the higher dimensional planes. Back to home base. It's kind of like shooting a rocket out into space, and the people on the rocket say, "Let's cut all communications." I don't want to commit with home base anymore on Earth, and we're going to go just do our own thing. That's what they did, and have full control over everybody on the ship out there. Right. So. Right, and also, if the corrupted bloodlines bail out on the deal with the aliens, right, they're going to face consequences, right? However, we as humanity can each, especially the awakened ones like us, our awakened people, can each take on a tiny fraction of this energy debt they will incur, right? So, if those corrupted bloodlines bail out on the deal with the aliens are going, okay, you're gonna face a penalty here, energy debt, basically, in essence. Whatever debt it is always going to be, in a sense, be energy That's how reality is. So it's always gonna be whatever it is. I don't really care what it is. It's gonna be converted into energy. So it's really an energy debt. So we can take on each take on a tiny fraction of the energy debt they're going to incur. This means the karmic energy debt. And then if we did that, then the corrupt bloodlines can go, oh, then I can feel free to just say, whatever, screw you, aliens, not doing that anymore. And yes, slam us with the, give us the debt. We're going to pay it off as a whole, as a team here. And then it's like, wow. And then, the aliens can't do much. Like, yeah, we can give you the debt and you're going to pay it off. Man, wow. It's like, what can they do, right? It's like, yeah, you could get, force us to do whatever you want, but we're just going to pay it off really quickly here because we can all take on a tiny fraction of it, right? So this will make it easier for them to break the deals with the aliens without worrying about the consequences. All right, we can each make a small sacrifice for the greater whole existence. What a beautiful thing. So I think that's a good idea. What do you guys think? Okay, I might, I'll speak of one last thing before I close it, which is, I had an experience of a breakthrough. So I'm slowly been cracked open, the past year, and I'm slowly breaking through things. And I had a great experience. This experience, this vision was on 8/6/2023, so a couple days ago. I'm in Tokyo, so I said a couple days ago, right? I'm in the future. Yeah, I basically, in a sense, it was about learning to remove the ego. And I'm going through a great transition where I'm slowly removing my ego, and so that more of my higher self can come through into this, in a sense, ego Jacob, or replace ego Jacob with just the higher self as much as it can. So I'm slowly removing this ego Jacob that I have here, and just sort of, becoming much more spiritual by having more of my higher self in me than this ego. And so here's the experience, So I was at a table with some famous guy outside at night. I was telling him about reality and how we are inside the mind of God, which means we are one with God, and we are a spark of divinity. I then called some lady over to the table. I told her this. I told her the same, and I proved this, right? But fact by speaking to the heavens, and I called down something random. I called down some soldier who immediately appeared and shot the wall. Why a soldier? And I said to that she's still alive. So this, like, when I woke up, I go, wow, it said Caitlyn Jenner, death 2006. She's still alive. Why is it 2006? And I, in these visions, I really, there's a lot of truth in it. As bizarre as all this stuff is, I never discount any of these visions because this is stuff that I experienced in a higher self. So you could say, well, that's crap because, Caitlyn Jenner's still alive and it says she was going to die in 2006. Why would you be talking to her higher self or some part of herself who died in 2006? You also have to realize that we are infinite beings. Okay, infinite beings. Everything is infinite. And even this ego self you have here has infinite ego selves. You're an infinite set of an ego self, not just this one. So if your name is Jim, Tom, Caitlin, whatever it is, mine's Jacob. I have infinite Jacobs, right? I'm not just this ego self with one Jacob. And if this Jacob, passes on and dies, the ego Jacob's gone. No, that's one of infinite Jacobs that died. One of infinite Jacobs. There are infinite timelines. Every choice you have creates a different timeline. Okay, so it's very possible that I was talking to a Caitlyn Jenner who died in 2006, which is, so Caitlyn Jenner has an infinite set of Caitlyn Jenners, and one of the infinite set of the egos inside the infinite set of Caitlyn Jenners who passed on in 2006 talked to me. That's how I see it. So part of Caitlyn Jenner's, and I really don't know anything about, I'm not in the community, the trans community. I don't really know anything about that stuff. So I was really surprised when I said Caitlyn Jenner, and it didn't really click with me that it was Caitlyn Jenner, that, the transgender, until I woke up and I go, oh yeah, isn't she that, da, 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 I was just observing, staying in that state and taking information as it is, not judging it. Yeah, part of Caitlyn Jenner's fragment of her soul that of the ego's or soul, which was part of the ego set, Caitlyn Jenner, who did die in 2006, talked to me, or I guess wanted to talk to me. I then had the idea to ask her for some personal information, because I had the idea that maybe I could talk to her mom, because like at this point, it wasn't until I woke up that I started piecing together. Oh, wait a second, she's part of an infinite set. At that time, it didn't occur to me that she was part of an infinite set, because that wasn't something that I came to an understanding until after I woke up and thinking about other things. And then I'll go, oh yeah, she's part of an infinite set. So that's why my higher self, or my thinking, or like my experience at that time, didn't bring that information in. So you have to remember, whatever information you have right now is what you're going to be using. Whatever information your ego has right now is what is going to be used for you or against you in other states, right? When you're in the higher self, you don't have that problem. But as an ego self, whatever knowledge information you have can be used for you or against you. So I didn't have the information at that point, so I didn't realize she was part of an infinite set. I wanted something, so I because I didn't have the information, I thought, maybe I could tell her mom, and prove somehow that I spoke with her dead daughter. This was a thought I had. But as soon as I thought that, I was immediately stopped by my higher self, or my guide, that said from the clouds or somewhere, wherever it was, it's points to the point where it was. Basically, it just said, "Hey, don't just stop what you're doing. Let me help guide you to what it's pointless to do that mission. Don't worry, you shouldn't do it." And then I said, "Oh, okay." I listened to me. I said, "Okay, it's okay. So what should I do then? What am I supposed to do?" And then, I said, I said, "Please show me what I should be doing." And then my higher self, or guides, immediately took me to what I need to do. And I was like, finally, they're going to show me what I need to do. And I was really excited. And so I was flying through trees outside in the early evening, and I slowly got a download of what I call a test. At the time, I called it a test. And the test was on the ability to embrace my divinity, and that nothing can hurt me, and that what I see is an illusion. So I'm getting more of this experiences of trying to break free and realize this is a simulation or an illusion, and nothing can hurt me. There's no fear, nothing to fear here in this reality. As soon as I got the details for this so-called test, I thought at the time, I had the idea to create a shield of fire that surrounded my body, then a shield of ice, right? I was just kind of free-forming, free thought consciousness of what I could do to shield myself from things, right? However, as the test progressed, from objects flying at me to people attacking and shooting me, I realized I needed something else. Right, I created thousands of invisible bulletproof sheets around me, and it worked. It really dulled the pain. And at this point, I could feel my body waking up. My body sort of just waking up, to this higher understanding. And I asked my higher self to do something to help me. And then I think at that point, as I was waking up to my higher self and sort of understanding something, I was physically waking up too. And I was like, oh no, I'm getting out of this. And then and I go, oh, I want to continue this. And how do I not fully wake up, in the real world, wake up in the morning, wake up? So I said, oh, I want to keep experiencing this. I want to continue with this thing you're trying to have me do. And so I said, higher self, guys, somebody out there said, please help me stay in this. Don't let me wake up. And then I was put into a room in this vision. I was put into this room with two small people, or like small human-like entities, almost like gnomes. I'm not sure, like human-like entities, small little people that talk to each other. They were kind of quirky, kind of funny people, and they talked to each other about what to give me. Like they're going to give me some sort of medicine or elixir or some sort of thing, And I told them, please just give me something that will make me sleep longer. I'm waking up. And they made a little joke and said, boo. Right? And like they said boo to me, reminding me about the test. Like, ooh, he's gonna be scared. Oh, he thinks, this, like, ooh, fear, the so-called, like, fear thing, right? Like, because the whole test was about removing fear, like, oh, don't be scared. There's actually this fear thing out there, right? Making a little joke. Um, I said, you guys are cute, like that was a cute little joke, right? And then they agreed on the name of something like the elixir or whatever it was that they would do, and they go, okay, yeah, let's do this one, and it'll do the trick, and then boom, I was back in. But also, okay, just side note, after I woke up, I had this strange feeling that those small people were actually, like, quite possibly people that, like, I used to be one. Either I used to be one, or I've experienced being one before, or maybe that is my incarnation home. Every soul has an first incarnation realm, and that is usually their incarnation home. Um, some people their first incarnations on Earth, and then your home incarnation realm is Earth. And for um, for me, I feel like quite possibly I could have been one of those small people. And, like, because I can be quite quirky and quite silly, and I just thought, what, maybe my incarnation home beings, are the ones also my guides, and the kind of things, to help me. Um, so I was like, I don't know, maybe I was, because I've learned recently as a different story that I learned recently, realized recently, incarnation realm is not Earth; it's some other, in a sense, alien, other place. And it could be these ones where my incarnation home is these little creatures, these little guys, creatures more like little people. Um, uh, yeah. So, anyways, I was back in, and as I flew through these countless scenes of people attacking me, I started to move onto strange and deadly puzzles that I had to kind of get through. And by this time, I was able to realize that I don't need any shields. I go, why do I need shields? I'm an eternal being. There's nothing to fear. And then I was starting to embrace my eternity. And I flew through the center of all the deadly scenes without blinking or being scared, no fear. And then I arrived at images and objects of my life, um, like my high school graduation, family photos, and things from my bedroom as a kid. And then finally, a picture of me on the wall when I was about 2 or 3 years old. And as I flew through it, the nose on the picture began to decay and go black. Then I woke up. I woke up not because I was scared, but because whatever they gave me, the elixir, it wore off, and simply the fact that my body was ready to wake, I guess. And they couldn't keep me there any longer. Um, uh, you know, it wasn't until I woke up and wrote all this down, got all this down, that I thought about it, and I realized what was really going on, right? It wasn't a test so much as a journey of self-realization, right? Each scene represented different emotional storage centers within me that I was releasing, right? I was slowly shedding the ego. I was shedding emotional baggage. That's why I was going through all these things, these scenes of, people attacking me and things. That was metaphor of removing baggage of pain that I had, you know, and removing the emotional attachments and baggage and thoughts I've created that got stuck in my unconscious, right? So I was slowly removing and shedding myself. And at the end, when seeing the pictures of my childhood, I was shedding the last bits of me, the ego Jacob, right? As I was decaying, I was removing the ego completely. I'm sure that if I was able to sleep longer, I could have completely dropped the ego Jacob, as I flew through the decaying face of my 3-year-old self. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to get there. Can't wait to experience what it's like to fully release that ego. I know I've heard that on DMT you could do something similar. Never taken DMT like that. Experienced it, but because you can do it naturally. So I'm going to do that, release, and just completely release the ego and death of the ego, and have that experience. I'm really excited about it. But I know what I have to do, so I can do it now. I can. I'm going to keep trying at night to kind of finish going through that picture and shedding the ego to realize my higher self. And I think I need to do that. I really need to do that before I can truly realize, what I need to do here to have an understanding of my mission here. So, anyways, yeah, the last bit of I wanted to share for today. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day. See you next time.